project two, obviously due in a few days. So I did create a project two lecture, essentially covering everything that I'd covered in class. But I wanted to follow up because we have had subsequent conversations. I want to make sure everybody, including the people that decided not to come to class this week, for whatever reason, that everybody's on the same page with regards to what's expected. So when you go look at this week's module, don't worry about the week. Just when you go to this week's module, at the top, there is that lecture that I gave in class. There is a sample of the presentation, and I'm going to go over this in a minute. And there is an Excel analysis template that you can use. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I want to run through this presentation real quick. Once again, I just want us all to be on the same page, right? So project two, you're going to analyze three companies from the same industry. So on the automotive, you could do Ford, GM, and you can do maybe Tesla or Lucid or Rivian, right? You cannot do Chrysler because they're owned by Stellantis. I think that's an Italian company. You can't do Honda, they're Japanese. Same reason for Toyota. So they got to be US companies. You need to analyze 5 different line items from the income statement that are shared by those 3 companies. So you can't analyze 5 different line items that aren't relevant. We're really trying to compare apples and apples, not apples and oranges. So the only way we could do apples and apples is if you look at the same exact 5 line items from the 3 companies. And if they're from the same industry, you should be able to do it. It should be pretty straightforward, right? So this is what I want the presentation to look like. 1, you get project to example. Make sure your name is on the PowerPoint. And then give me a couple seconds to actually be able to read your name so I can get it into the gradebook. Second, use the name that's in the gradebook. I appreciate that some of you have an American name. Awesome. But I need to know what your legal name is. So that way I'm not looking for Jenny if that's not your real name. So make sure I get your real name in there. That way I can find you in the gradebook easily, okay? Then I want you to tell me what industry you reviewed, right? So in this particular case, I'm going to go with motorcycle and recreational vehicles. And the 3 companies that I analyzed were Harley, Polaris, and Polaris again. So I did Polaris twice. You can't do it twice. I'm just using that as an example, okay? So for Harley Davidson, I'm giving you a picture of their income statement. And that's what I want you to do. Just do a screen grab, right? You're going to be at the SEC website and you're going to do a screen grab. And what I'm looking for is to make sure that you've got the 10K. Because if you've got the 10Q, you won't see the full years. What you're going to see are months, right? Or periods, between January and March or between April and June. You're going to see months. You're not going to see years. So it's really important that you see the 10K and I see the 10K. Because if you use a 10Q, you don't get points, right? So this is Harley. This is Polaris 1. This is Polaris 2. And then I want an analysis, right? And so you just plug in the company name and then tell me the line items that you reviewed, okay? Do it for each of them. That way I can see the analysis that you did. Because I know some of you are thinking, I'll just do this on ChatGPT. And you're going to do it on ChatGPT and it's going to be wrong. So I need to see that you actually did the analysis yourself, okay? And then the last thing, super, this is everything, this is the whole assignment, right? I need you to tell me which company did better. And everything is after that because, right? Company X performed better because. And then I need you to refer to each and every line item that you compared, right? So if you're going to look at the revenue growth rates for these 3 companies, then I want you to tell me, look, I think that this company did better because their revenue grew faster, right? It grew at this percentage or that percentage. If you're going to look at their gross margin, right? Company-wise gross margin decreased last year. And last year it only grew by 4%, whereas Company X's gross margin. There's a bunch of reasons why gross margin would change, but I'm just trying to keep this big picture, right? Company X consistently spent more on research and development, if that was one of your line items. But I want you every line item, 5 line items, 5 things that I want you to talk about that you looked at. And then at the end, for these reasons, I believe company X performed better. That's what I'm looking for, right? That's full points. If you don't hit all these points, then you're not going to get full credit, right? So now let's go look at the analysis sheet because I uploaded that. That is right here. It is in Excel, and you can, if you download this, you can easily just upload it to Google Sheets, and then you could do it on Google Sheets if you don't have Excel, or you could do it in Numbers. But here's the deal, you know, you don't have to. If you get like a big, let me go pull up one of the companies, sec.gov. Let's go to Edgar Search. Let's type in American Airlines, right? And I want to look at their annual and quarterly reports. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go find their last 10K. Last 10K, it should be a 2025 document. I'm going to open up the document. I'm going to scroll down to item number 8. Okay. And I want consolidated financial statements. Now I'm going to have to scroll down. I got to go find it. And here it is, consolidated statement of operations. So it's their income statement. They're going to call it different things, but you know it's the right thing because it's got revenues at the top and it's got net income, right? So let's say, for example, you know, I wanted to evaluate passenger revenue and cargo revenue. I could do that. So I would just type in here American Airlines, and I would type in passenger revenue and cargo revenue. Just type it in because you're going to have that for, you know, all the companies. You could go look at Southwest, it's the same thing. I want to look at aircraft fuel. Type that in, and I want to do maintenance, and you type that in, and then I want to do net income, and you type that in, net income. What you could then do is instead of doing the, you know, that where you're converting the dollars and percentages for the whole document, just start plugging it in for the line items that you're going to be evaluating. And then that will make, you know, your analysis easier, right? So just sort of fill in these blanks, and then you'll be squared away. And then just do a screen grab of this, dump it into the presentation, and you're good to go. So this project should be challenging, and some of you, you're done, right? It was a no-brainer, and so good for you. Everybody else, it's a little bit of work, and so take your time because it's important. I would not have you do this if I didn't think it was super important that you understand how to do very basic, high-level financial analysis. And I promise, you know, maybe this won't, you know, result in you getting that $260,000 job like it did my other student, but, you know, maybe it will result in you having a positive impact in some form or fashion. So watch this, watch the other video, and if you still need help, reach out. I'm around all weekend. Peace.